Demonic is a fan favorite part of Havoc Demon Hunter, turning you into your demon form whenever you use I-Beam. While this talent is very much loved, it does pose some issues in terms of class health moving forward and for the future. Let's talk about it. Before we begin, I just want to say that a lot of my viewers aren't subscribed, so if you're watching this and you're not subscribed to the channel, or you see my videos all the time and you're not subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button. We're shooting up towards 1,000 subscribers, which is insane. I never thought this would ever happen, so, if you can help me get that goal, I'd really appreciate it. So with that out of the way, thank you, and please enjoy the video. So, Demonic. Now, for those of you who've been in the loop and watching my other videos, then you know that a lot of changes that recently have come through to I-Beam, to Demonic, and kind of really changed how that whole playstyle feels and works. And today I'm kind of going to go into why I think those changes were done and how I think that the devs are trying to move Havoc Demon Hunter's kind of Demonic playstyle towards away from where it is currently. So, for those of you who aren't aware, I imagine that most people who are watching these videos know what Demonic does, but we'll cover our bases. Demonic has been a long-standing talent. Basically, I-Beam causes you to enter your demon form for 6 seconds after it finishes dealing damage. So whenever you're done channeling I-Beam, so I'll walk up to the target dummy here, we'll channel I-Beam, I'm in my demon form, damage stops, and I'm supposed to be in here for 6 seconds. Currently, it is bugged to last for 34 seconds, or 24 seconds. Basically, I-Beam just puts you into metamorphosis right now, which is a really funny bug. But anyway, so normally it's supposed to put you there for 6 seconds. Instead of the 34. This has been a talent for a long time. For the longest time, it was on the last row of our talent tree, so in the level 50 row, and was competing with stuff like Metamorphosis, Momentum and Fell Barrage. There was stuff like Nemesis for a bit. Just a bunch of different options down there, and historically it's been a very popular pick. It's been very powerful. It's been used in a lot of different scenarios. However, I think realistically, now this is kind of a bit of a crack take, I actually think that the way it's been heading towards recently actually is bad overall for the class health. Now, before people in the comments get really mad at me, I am a big fan of Demonic. I think it's a really fun playstyle. More fun in the sense of entering your demon form and just being in your demon form. It just looks really cool and feels good because of your empowered abilities, because of just like the haste you get, because of the big damage you can do with your annihilations and death sweeps and all that fun stuff. So I think that's really fun. But I think it has big issues too, and I think those issues come in how it shapes Havoc's damage profile. And that's, I think, one of the big issues and big reasons why we're starting to see kind of things changing. So let's dive into it. So, it's going to cover predominantly Raid. I believe the changes are actually really good for M+ as well. And I guess this does also have application for M+. But realistically, in any kind of scenario in the game where you're dealing damage. Now, this isn't PvP, this is PvE. I do not speak for PvP at all. I actually believe that in PvP, I think Sustain is better, but don't quote me on that. I'm not a PvPer. I'm a PvEer. So in PvE, one of the most valuable types of damage profiles you can have is Burst. Burst is super, super valuable, right? So if I'm a more of a bursty class, let's say that this target dummy here, I'll put a marker on him, is Skull, and this ad over here pops up, and we have to kill it really fast. Well, if I'm a burst class, I can swap to it really easily, burst it down, and then swap back to my main target, lose almost no damage. Everything's all fun and good and hunky-dory. If I'm a sustain class, basically what's going to happen, I really can't effectively swap to that other target without losing a lot of damage, and I also don't really give a lot of benefit to killing it quickly, and I don't gain damage if it dies super fast. So, for those of you playing Havoc right now, currently on Shadowlands, you kind of know this feeling, right? Because most of our damage comes from Sinful Brand, and Sinful Brand is not a burst cooldown at all, right? So, take this Skull dummy. I got Sinful Brand rolling on it. I'm pushing I-Beam. Sinful Brand extending. It's like, oh shit, another target spawns. Okay, well, I can throw Brand on it, right? That's my Brand button, is E on live. And now, oh, the ad's dead. Brand's only ticked 3 times. I don't really have that much damage. And now my Brand is falling off of my main target because I had to swap away and I hit it with I-Beam or whatever, right? So we lose a lot because of this kind of sustained damage profile. And the same is true for M+, right? So our only real damage comes when we can meta onto a bunch of targets and hit them with Sinful Brand, right? So let's say we have all these 3 targets. I meta on top of them. Boom, Sinful Brand hits them. It's rolling. I can extend it with I-Beams. Boom, long Sinful Brand. And then like the pack lives for a little while and you can do big damage because Sinful Brand is rolling. But if that pack dies incredibly fast, or there are things that, like, let's say the Fire Mage bursts down first, or the Survival Hunter bursts it down first, or any other burst classes that are really good in M+ right now, if they kill it before you have a chance for your brands to tick a few times, for your brands to really deal that damage, then your damage suffers so much. And that's really an issue You don't want a sustained damage profile. You want to have some form of burst in your class kit because of these abilities to kind of change out target swapping. You want to have burst for damage amp windows if those happen on bosses, like on Sludge Fist. Havoc Demon Hunter is currently the worst class in the game on Sludge Fist, or if not the worst, it's in the bottom 3. Because we just don't have any burst for his pillars. We have no way of taking advantage of this damage amp when stuff like a Fire Mage or stuff like a Demo Lock can unload all of their damage during this window and just deal twice as much as normal. We are just having our flat profile jump up a little bit, stay a flat line, and then keep going. I'm going to throw up kind of some paint images on the screen. I love that, I'm using paint here, but, please excuse this. But pretty much on the left here, you see kind of a hypothetical spiky profile, right? You see a big spike during Lust, during the start, and then it'll tail out towards the end into another big spike. And then on the right, you kind of see like a sustained profile. It's kind of just like a flat line. There's some variations and dips, but it relatively stays the same. And Havoc right now is at the right side. You can see it during Lust on a fight. A bunch of other burst classes are hitting for 30, 40k. We're just sitting there doing our 17k, and then Lust ends, classes drop back down. We kind of rise, but we're still only doing 17k. We don't do more. So that is an issue, right? You want to have some kind of burst. Now, at the same time, you don't want to be like Venter Boomies in 9.1 where they are only burst and literally hit less than a tank outside of their cooldowns. That is problematic for different reasons, right? Because then you are literally just not a person outside of your ramp or outside of your burst, but during your burst, you are like a god and the most valuable member of your team. That has other issues. Nobody wants that. What you really want to have is you want to have some form of sustained damage. That's like not bottom of the tier or not as high as like a normal sustained class, but with kind of these bursty windows, right? And realistically, the old design for the demonic and the old ways we had kind of just emphasize you to keep up demonic as much as possible, right? So you have your demonic and you'd have stuff like Cycle, you have stuff like Shadow Destiny, which really wanted you to be sticking to a target, spending as much fury as you can, keeping that I-beam cooldown low, and keeping up that demonic uptime so you have the buffed chaos, annihilations and death sweeps. And this can be problematic, as I've said before, because it is a sustained profile, right? Sustained profiles are bad, as I covered them. Like if you get forced away from a boss, let's say there's a mechanic, I'm hitting them, oh, okay, I gotta go away, my demon form's taken down, I can't hit anything, my brand is taken down, I can't hit anything to refresh it. So there's problems with this kind of sustained profile. Now, they're kind of changing things away from that, and there's kind of a big community discussion going on between would you rather have like a stronger but shorter demonic window or a longer but weaker demonic window. I'm in the camp that I think that demonic would be really good if it's more bursty, if we're tuned pretty good, and actually right now I actually do think we've hit that. Demonic obviously is kind of broken right now. It's giving me 24 seconds of it, but the way Death Sweep and Annihilation kind of hit, they're quite strong. So I was doing some testing earlier, and you guys will see this whenever raid testing comes around or whenever stuff like that happens. I will show some of it. But realistically, you actually have a lot of your damage coming from Annihilation and Death Sweep, right? Like, look at this right here. It's those two abilities, and I'm just kind of mucking around, kind of messing around, just hitting these two things, where those two abilities are my top damage. And that's really good. It means that kind of demonic is stronger where we want it to be. So that's kind of why that these changes came in, right? So I-beam going to 40 seconds, metamorphosis coming down to 3 minutes instead of 4 minutes, and then a few other things like this got nerfed to be 7 Fury. This got nerfed to kind of have less cooldown reduction. So they're kind of moving our demonic into more of a bursty window. And away from where it was in this kind of sustained environment, which is really, really good. You want this burst, right? And I think right now, Havoc Demon Hunter actually has a fairly decent amount of burst, right? So pretend for a second that we're in an M+ pack, right? There's more than 2 targets, but whatever. So we open with the Hunt, then we hit them with the I-beam, and then right away we vengeful retreat into Essence Break, and then we hit them with that, and then we hit them with some Chaos Strikes. We did a lot of damage. Now, things are weird right now, right? I didn't have Glaive Tempest, I don't have Rage Fire, so I don't have all my damage AoE because I'm kind of showing you this single target build. But realistically, we actually have decent enough burst pack to pack now, especially with how much damage I-beam does. 33,000 chaos damage is a lot. Actually, I guess it's not a lot. Death Sweep does more. Death Sweep does 20k to your primary target, but I-beam, hits more targets, so whatever. But they're moving this into a burst window. Now, I think that will come as a shock because we're kind of losing the I-beam rank, right? We're losing out on 10 seconds of I-beam cooldown. We're losing out on demonic uptime with demonic and with Shattered Destiny nerfs. But I don't think this is that bad of a thing overall because we are moving towards this burstiness. Now I'm going to have some videos out over the coming days of me doing dungeons. And I'm pretty sure that people are going to kind of enjoy what they're seeing, right? I've done a little bit of dungeon testing. I haven't recorded it yet, because I'm kind of waiting for changes. But we have a lot more burst now, and we have a lot more abilities that fit into our damage windows. So I'm actually really happy with the way things are going. Now, I think that in terms of what they did with I-beam and with demonic changes, I don't think it was the best way they could have done it. I think it leads to a lot of community backlash when you seemingly nerf abilities like this out of nowhere. You know, I-beam just going to 40 seconds, but buffing the damage looks like a nerf to a lot of people, and realistically it is. But because of how we're moving towards this kind of burstiness of the class, away from our sustain, I don't think it's as bad as it seems on the surface, because this overall is going to be more healthy for the viability of Havoc Demon Hunter, which I think is really important, right? We don't want to be stuck in this sustained world where, in a hypothetical scenario with perfect 100% uptime and where the target doesn't die ever, we can do good damage. That's just not what you see in game, right? In M+ packs are dying in 30 to 40 seconds in the highest keys. Maybe a little bit longer, depends what you're pulling, depends who you're with. And in raid bosses, you have to go away from your target. There's target swapping, there are burst cleave windows, there are damage amps. There's tons of things that just a sustained profile like we've had in the past and had for a while doesn't fit into the modern game. And we are moving away from that into more of a bursty cooldown oriented kind of profile on like a 40 to 20 second window, which I am excited for. I think it feels much better, and I think it leads to a overall healthier overlook and outlook on how Havoc Demon Hunter is doing. So that's kind of my topic discussion on demonic and why I think they've kind of changed the way and moved towards where they're going with things and why I think they're doing this. Also, as well, kind of a discussion on burst versus sustain. So let me know down below if you agree with what I said, if you think this is how we're moving, if you think this is a better way of existing as Havoc. Now, we're still going to have some sustain. You know, we're going to have sustained damage. Our burst won't be super high, but we are doing more burst damage than we have had in the past, which I think is really good. So yeah, you know, leave a like if you enjoyed it, leave a comment. Again, if you're watching this far still and you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out. I really appreciate every single one of you. I cannot believe that we've already gotten to over 750 subs and we're still gaining each day. It's kind of surreal, it's kind of insane, and I just appreciate every single person who watches these videos. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.